Morning in Europe. Peoples of many nations, but in truth, one people. For together they share Europe's hopes of peace and security, as together they share its soil, mist and sun. Morning in Strasbourg. Among the many millions of Europe are some like this girl, who by their trade are already international. French by birth, yet this girl's occupation makes her indeed a European. Her job? Simultaneous interpreter to the representatives of many nations who meet in the Council of Europe. Another European by occupation, a Danish long-distance truck driver, starting his day in Copenhagen. Elsewhere in the city, his co-driver, on his way to their rendezvous at the loading point. The cargo for this trip, Danish butter bound for distant France. Butter loading for a journey that will take it from one end of the continent to the other. Morning too on the Rhine. Europe's greatest river, bearing the vessels of many nations. On its waters, peoples of many nations, serving many nations. On his barge, taking his morning coffee, a Dutch captain. A river captain, yet one whose voyages take him to 5 different lands. This voyage has brought him from the busy port of Rotterdam up past the flat lands of Holland, past Germany's spectator Duisburg and Cologne Cathedral, past the terraced vineyards of Koblenz and Bingen. Soon now he will reach his destination, Strasbourg, France. The president for today's meeting of the Council of Europe at Strasbourg is Belgium's Paul-Henri Spaak. Before him a busy day, for this promises to be a heavy session. In the printing room, the presses are rolling off the hundreds of copies of manuscripts, agendas and reports of yesterday's speeches, which daily serve to keep all concerned fully informed. In the Council, the President is the administrator, coordinator, organizer.
Et sur cette feuille, la liste des orateurs qui se sont inscrits pour le débat.
Monsieur le Président, peut-on sonner l'entrée en séance?
Oui, monsieur, ici, vous pouvez sonner.
Yes, in the Council, the President is the man who presses the button. Danish butter for France, Dutch eggs for Germany, all French meat in return. The vital, ever-flowing trade of a continent. Ever-flowing? Yes, reaches national frontiers. There, food and goods and those who carry them must stand waiting, held idle by the sluggish machinery of frontier bureaucracy. Customs, passports, import licenses, and rubber stamps. Nature made the waters of the Rhine free. Yet, at its man-made barriers, vessels must remain anchored while those whose job it is to search and examine. Dutch captain or Danish truck driver, men and vital cargoes, all must wait. Such is the cost when a continent knows no unity.
Monsieur le Président, la séance est ouverte.
The session is open. Another session of the Parliament of Europe.
Perhaps I may, at the outset of my...
The Council of Europe makes no distinctions between nationalities or beliefs. Delegates are seated alphabetically, regardless of country or politics.
The members of Congress.
Mr. Kapani, the Turkish delegate, sits beside Van Kaufenberg from Luxembourg. Frau Rehling of Germany, beside Paul Reynaud of France. And Mr. Tsirimokos, Greek socialist, by the side of Lady Tweedsmuir, British conservative. A council of different nations must mean speeches in different languages. So, as each delegate speaks, so his words are translated by the members of a corps of interpreters.
Signification du mot philosophie quand on parle anglais. Quel est le domaine que recouvre ce mot? Ça peut recouvrir tout et rien.
If ever we turned out to be powerless to solve it because of our hesitations and our reluctance, the events and the aspirations of our people would compel us to take the measures which would appear necessary. In this free several states, we must envisage the possibility of transferring
Nous avons étudié aussi la possibilité de transfert
from the governmental bodies
de certaines autorités des gouvernements à l'autorité supranationale. Mais il ne faut pas oublier
So, through the work of the interpreters, the barriers of language are overcome. Each is understood by all. Unity of understanding in the drive for unity of a continent. Danish butter for France, or French meat in return. Once the frontiers are crossed, the only stops are for refueling or much-needed rest and refreshment. A French cafe, Danish truck drivers. Shall they stick to things they know, or perhaps this time try something different? Only by crossing frontiers do peoples of one country experience the ways and habits of another, and by so doing, broaden their outlook. Strasbourg, the home of the Council of Europe, is also a great inland port of France. To its trades by means of the Rhine and a great system of canals come not only the goods of the Rhine countries, but also those of Britain, Scandinavia, and North and South America. So in the port lie ships and barges from all countries, loading and unloading, awaiting turnaround. Serving the river community of the Rhine are the boats of the water shopkeepers, selling vegetables, fruit, meat, fish, or wine. Anything, in fact, needed by the floating households. International enterprise in a one-man business. For his customers are people of many lands. The money he takes, anybody's money. Here indeed is a self-made European by trade. By the busy port stands the customs house. There the Dutch captain clears his new cargo. Drainage pipes from the Tsar, bound for South America via Holland. Although he must still present his passport and other papers, yet because he is a Rhine captain, his border formalities are greatly simplified by international cooperation. Here, in Strasbourg itself, is the headquarters of the Rhine Committee, a permanent international committee, the oldest in Europe, established in 1868. Here, delegates from every nation whose commerce uses the Rhine waterway meet together to keep its traffic efficient and quick-flowing, shortening delays, cutting restrictions, and simplifying customs procedures. Much still remains to be achieved, but already much red tape has been cut by international cooperation and goodwill. The Dutch captain loads his cargo, the pipes for South America. Even drainage pipes must undergo checking by customs officials. But because of the work of the Rhine Committee, this one major check will stand for all frontier crossings along the Rhine. At every other customs house, the check will only be a glance to see that seals are still intact. The cargo itself will remain undisturbed. How different the procedure for the cargoes of the truck drivers. Unloading and reloading. At every frontier, every case and barrel liable to the closest scrutiny. Perishable foods or what you will, its quality endangered, its delivery delayed. The Dutch captain, off on his new voyage, his turnaround made faster by international understanding. Off down the Rhine, the river linking nations, but often dividing nations. Past the ruins of the forts of the Maginot and Siegfried lines. Past the Rhine's silent warnings to all Europeans not to make the same mistakes again.
But you must realize this. If there were to be a new war, neither you nor your children would ever enjoy the mode of living we are enjoying today.
Chez l'adversaire, quand la décision est prise, on passe aux actes. Si démocratie devait
At Strasbourg, Paul Reynaud concludes his speech. Just one more in this busy day session.
Qu'à nous souhaiter une chance que nous n'aurions pas méritée.
The Council of Europe, the place where the voices of all free nations can speak frankly and openly. The voice of Italy.
De tous les côtés. Il est vrai aussi que certains pourraient décider de poursuivre cette œuvre de coordination dans d'autres secteurs plus faciles.
The voice of Western Germany.
So kann die Lösung nur lauten: handeln wir rasch, morgen könnte es zu spät sein.
The voice of Great Britain.
As of vital importance to the future of the European idea. If they fail, all may fail.
The voice of Belgium.
Europe unie, paix, prospérité. Et si nous le faisons, l'année nouvelle s'ouvrira sous des auspices favorables.
And the voice of
Le
France.
Conseil de l'Europe, en effet, est le laboratoire où se prépare et s'expérimente la coopération.
Many voices, but in all one voice.
Transforme lui-même
The voice of a continent striving towards unity.
européenne.
The problem of the political unification of Europe has been raised and will no longer ever be sidetracked.
But every one of us feels that this is an opportunity which will never return.
Let us act rapidly, because tomorrow it might be too late.
Evening over Europe. On the Rhine, hail and farewell between the peoples of the river. In French, German, Dutch, or Flemish. One river, one people. Evening over Europe. At the gas stations, roadside cafes and bistros. Hail and farewell for those of many nations who meet and pass on the great trunk roads. For all these people, language is a difficulty easily overcome. For their interests, their needs, their very lives are the same. On the roads and on the water, Europe is indeed one community. Evening at Strasbourg. Now the great council chamber stands empty. Empty except for those who must prepare it for tomorrow. Yet behind the closed doors, the work of the council goes on. In the many conference rooms the committees work on, often into the small hours of the morning, discussing every detail, solving every tiny problem, striving for that agreement to which tomorrow's assembly can give formal acceptance. Peoples of many nations, the people of one Europe, working together, striving together, forward towards unity.